The Euroyard is back to talk about the 2026 Eurovision Song Contest. Yes, we're already talking about that. I mean, it's a Eurovision website. What the hell else are we going to talk about? But anyway, people are starting to ask, and we'll walk you through some scenarios here, but here's the question. Where will the 2026 Eurovision Song Contest be held? Yeah, we know Austria. We got that part down. So we're moving from Switzerland in 2025 to neighboring Austria in 2026. Hey, maybe Liechtenstein smack in the middle of both countries. Maybe they'll try to mount a joint bid again. It's just too bad that they don't have a national broadcaster anymore. So we now also know, as of recently, that August 8th is the date that we will find out what the host city is. This is a little earlier than what Switzerland did heading into the 2025 contest. So Austria is getting a little bit of a jump here. So let's jump right in and we'll talk about where I think that this one might take place. And I think this conversation absolutely has to start with Vienna, the capital and the largest city in Austria. Now, when I say it's the largest city, I mean it's the largest city. Vienna is many times larger than the second largest city in the country. Vienna proper has a population of about 1.9 million people. And then you've got the city of Graz, which is second with just under 300,000. Some population estimates have it a little over. It don't matter. It's about 1/6 the size of Vienna, if that. It is a massive gap. And by the way, both of those cities I just mentioned are much larger than Basel. So there's hope for everyone. So the question is, can Wien host Eurovision? Well, hell yeah, it can. It already has twice. It did it in 1967 and then again relatively recently in 2015. That's not that long ago, only about a decade. So there will be varying degrees of questioning the other cities that I'm going to bring up in this video here, but not Vienna. Not at all. They absolutely can handle it. They are by far the most equipped to handle it of any city in the country. That doesn't mean it's going to be there, but it would be very much a safe pick. For the record, the 2015 contest, that was held at the Wiener Stadthalle, which is plenty big. We already know it can host a modern Eurovision Song Contest, so don't be surprised if that's where it ends up again. Next up, we're going to talk about Innsbruck. It's a city of about 130,000 people in the mountains in the western part of the country. So the thing about Innsbruck that is interesting, it has hosted multiple Winter Olympic Games. It's definitely not the biggest city in Austria. It's one of the biggest cities in Austria, but not the biggest, for sure. However, I wouldn't be too worried about whether or not they could pull this off in terms of infrastructure. Because, of course, they have hosted big events. They've hosted Olympiads. They've hosted Paralympic Games. I think of the non-Vienna options that you're going to see in this video, Innsbruck is probably one of the best. So this is another one that I'm going to have my eye on as a potential serious candidate city. In terms of where in Innsbruck this one might be, the Olympia Hall might be suitable. This was the Olympic Park, of course, so that right there, you know that it can hold a large capacity. Let's move on now to a city that I've already mentioned. It's Graz, city of, let's say, about 300,000. It's the second largest city in the country. It's located in southern Austria. Now, the Stadthalle Graz has been mentioned as their potential choice of venue. However, there are other venues that have been mentioned in the city, but the mayor herself had mentioned the Stadthalle Graz as a potential venue for it. So, you know what, the city, it's large enough. I mean, it could be a viable option. And part of the reason that you're going to want to look at the larger cities is because obviously there's going to be a large influx of people coming in to visit for this contest. So you're going to need places for these people to sleep. You're going to need places for these people to eat. And quite frankly, the contest has gotten very big, and there might not be the infrastructure in some of these smaller towns, but we'll see. Then the next one is actually a joint bid. You've got the city of Linz, and then you've got the city of Wels. So the city of Linz is about 200,000 people, and the city of Wels is about 60,000 and change. They are about half an hour apart from each other, Linz, of course, being the third largest city in the country. But Wels has the venue, the Messe of Wels. It's a big arena. They did an expansion, I guess, about a decade ago. So, yeah, it's a big expo hall. They can definitely pack some people in there. So, this is kind of like an interesting option that people might not have considered. We don't really have situations in Eurovision where cities that bid jointly end up getting it. But, you know, it's not the worst option. Then next up, you've got St. Pölten, city of about 56,000 people. It's west of Vienna. It's a much smaller city, obviously, than Vienna. You've got the Vaz St. Pölten, which was offered as a potential venue. When they light it up in a certain way, it kind of looks like an IKEA. And if that's where this ends up and they turn it blue and yellow, that might be a good omen for Sweden, as if they need more good omens. They seem to do pretty well on their own without any outside help. But yeah, it is a concert hall. It might be able to accommodate the Eurovision crowds. So that's one to keep in mind as well. And now the last couple we're going to talk about, these are some of the more off-the-wall options. And this is because these are small towns. The first one I'm going to mention here is Ebrechtsdorf, which is a town, city, whatever, of about 10 or 11,000 people. They are trying to go the Mill Street route. Now, what do I mean by that? The 1993 Eurovision Song Contest, which was held in Ireland, was held in a small town in Mill Street. There was an equestrian venue that really wanted to host Eurovision, and they did. Well, guess what? There is a place called Comer City in Ebrechtsdorf, which is an equestrian venue that really wants to host Eurovision in 2026. They would have to really grow out the venue in order to make it so that enough people could go, but they are out there and they are showing interest right now. And then the last city that we're going to talk about as a potential bid city is the town of Oberwart, which is less than 10,000 people. It's definitely the smallest town on the list of cities that are expressing interest. So the proposed venue for this contest in Oberwart is called the Burgenland Hall Exhibition Center. Thing is, it is a very small town. It's not really near anything. So could they handle it? That's something the national broadcaster is going to have to take into account. So as far as some cities that are out of the running, we can tell you where Eurovision is not going to be in 2026. And one of them is Salzburg. This is the fourth largest city in the country. They have declined to bid for the contest. And then Klagenfurt, which also said no. This is the seventh largest city in the country. So a few of the larger cities in Austria said they weren't interested, but there definitely is no lack of interest from some of the larger municipalities in the country. So now, if you want to ask the question, who is the favorite to get the 2026 Eurovision Song Contest? I mean, just logically speaking, it's probably Vienna's to lose. They check way more boxes than every other city in the country. They have already done this twice. One of them was only a decade ago. So not only could they host a contest, but they can host a modern contest. Because, you know what, you want to compare how things were 20, 30 years ago to the way they are now. They're certainly different. Now, this isn't to say that another city couldn't do it. It's just saying that Vienna goes into this as a pretty obvious favorite. It would be a safe choice. And as far as some of the other smaller towns that are interested in bidding potentially for this contest, I think it would be really difficult for us to see another 1993 Mill Street situation ever come up again. It probably couldn't happen quite that way today, I don't think. The Eurovision Song Contest, as I just mentioned, back in the early 90s was not the massive production that it is now. It was a big deal. They definitely put effort into it. But you're talking about contest 30 plus years ago where you'd get a couple thousand people in an arena and they're sitting in auditorium chairs in gowns and tuxedos. That is not the Eurovision Song Contest anymore. There are 15,000 screaming people in those arenas, and it is a big production with visuals and all of that. So you got the whole works there now, whereas that really wasn't the case. It would have been a lot easier for a smaller town to host the Eurovision Song Contest back in the day. It just really isn't that way anymore. So that right there is going to put some of those smaller towns and cities that I mentioned at a fairly big disadvantage. But what I will say for the non-Vienna options is that Basel was not the assumed favorite for the 2025 contest. We would have thought it might be Zurich. It's the biggest city in the country. It's got everything there. Some people would have also suggested maybe it would be Geneva because that's where the EBU headquarters is, and it would just be really easy for all of those people to just shuffle over to the Expo Center for the contest. So the question here too is, can any of these non-Vienna options put together an attractive proposal? There clearly are venues of consequence outside of that major city, but are any of them as or more attractive of an option than whatever Vienna is going to offer? And finally, one more question to consider here when trying to figure out who's going to host this contest is, does the Austrian national broadcaster want to do something different? After all, Wien has hosted this contest twice already. So are they going to just stick with the safe option and go with them again? Or are they going to say, well, you know what? We have other places that we can go with this one. So maybe let's try something else this time. We'll find out in August, and you can follow along with us at theEuroYard.com on Blue Sky, at theEuroYard.com, and subscribe to this YouTube channel as we find out more about the 2026 Eurovision Song Contest.